How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing: always protect your profits. And today we're going to be taking a look at MULN and as well as for Polestar. We saw a lot of strength inside the markets today, which came with a good amount of volatility in certain plays. And we're going to be starting off with MULN, so let's take a look. So it ended up closing at 67 cents, being down 3.72%. On the low, it tested 63 cents, and then on the high, testing 71 cents. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 87.528 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 79.745 million shares. So you can see that we had above average volume and we dealt with some selling pressure. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can clearly see that we are trading below all of our major moving averages, and we also didn't get a retest back to the 9 EMA, which we wanted to look for. So it is continuing to look bearish. So since we did get to a low of 63 cents, in order for us to actually fill in the gap to the downside, we need to get down to 62 cents. So MULN pulling back to 62 cents, I'll be very curious to see if bulls want to step in. Keep in mind, we do have the 52-week low at 52 cents, so there's a potential chance MULN could get down to that level, so please add that to your notes. If you want to see some strength inside of this play, then it needs to test that 9 EMA. This is very important. And right now, currently, it is around 74 cents. If it's able to get here at 74 cents, then you want to see if it can make a move to the 21 EMA, which is right here around 81 cents. And one thing that we do know for sure, this has served as resistance in the past, back here on the 15th, and as well as taking in consideration the 16th, and it's been continuous, especially when we break above the 9 EMA. So add that to your notes as well. But overall, let's see what MULN does. It is looking pretty beaten up, looking bearish. So let's see if we end up getting that test of 62 cents. Now let's take a look at the short interest. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information from MULN. So scrolling down on the page, the green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings we have here for the 25th, we have Master Investment Portfolio that purchased 49,413 shares. We also see iShares Russell with two different positions. One that was at 466,606 shares, and we also see 121,371 shares. We also have Stock Account Class R1 that purchased 3,397 shares, and we also have Fidelity Crypto Industry and Digital Payments ETF that purchased 260,524 shares, and those are all the filings for the 25th. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 51.28%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it was just over 24.69 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 1.3 million, updated 2 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 20.15%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 23rd, it was at 46.90, and then for the close of the 24th, being at 51.28. So that is a significant increase right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 15.24%, MULN does continue to have short squeeze potential. And like I was saying when we were taking a look at the chart, it is looking bearish at the moment, and we're looking for it to actually fill in that gap at around 62 cents. We also know that the 52-week low is not too far off either, so I want to make sure you're keeping that in mind. We also do have PCE numbers and Jerome Powell that's going to be speaking tomorrow, so I want to make sure that you guys are staying on your toes if you are inside of this play. Now let's take a look at Polestar. Let's take a look at Polestar. So we ended up closing at $8.61, being up 3.11%. On the low, it tested $8.36, and then on the high, testing $8.90. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 1.562 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 1.319 million shares. So we had above average volume, and you could clearly see that we had strength in this stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, one thing we could take notice of, we are continuing to trade below all of our major moving averages, which is the 50 EMA to 21 EMA, and as well as the 9 EMA. But a good thing is, as far as for the high of the day, we got just above the 9 EMA. It is at 886, and we saw a high of $8.90. So can Polestar revisit this level going into tomorrow? I think so, and the main reason behind behind that. If we have continued momentum, then we could see it wanting to make that test and then going to around $9. We know that's going to be a psychological area. There's a lot of sellers who are hanging out, but if we gain more momentum, then we can start seeing it wanting to get to the 21 EMA at $9.14. We also can't ignore the fact that it has been forming some higher lows, so this is bullish, and we also did have a higher high from the previous day. So taking all of this into consideration, if we do decide to have a pullback, as long as we stay above 836, it continues to look good. But in my personal opinion, if we have a pullback, I want to see support holding up at least around $8.40. Not too far off from $8.36, but again, it does show that there's strength in the play. If it decides to pull back further and ends up breaking through the low that we had on the day, then we have to take into consideration the previous day, and it would have to hold up that $8.30 level. If it doesn't do that, then of course it will go back to the 52-week lows where we recently got to $8.19. So please add that to your notes. Just taking a look at our stochastics down below, if we have some more buying pressure coming into the play, we could see it going back to retest the $9. So let's see what it does. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information for Polestar. So the off exchange short volume ratio is at 53.17%, and then for the off exchange short volume, it is at 294,841 shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 600, updated 4 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 149.33%, and we have the max being at 157.63%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 23rd, it was at 54.14, and then for the close of the 24th, it was at 53.17. So it did go down a little bit, but then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float, it still remains to be consistent, being at 7.26%. But if we have buying volume coming into the play, especially like we had today, we could see some strong moves, and I want to see that happening again going into tomorrow. Like I said, for the MULN portion, we do have some key catalysts that are going to be coming up. We have Jerome Powell that's going to be speaking in the morning, and we also have the PCE numbers that are going to be coming out inside of the pre-market. So there will be some volatility ahead, but just know if the markets run up, then I want to see Polestar being able to follow along with it. If we end up having a major pullback, then of course Polestar will follow. So make sure that you add that to your notes. You can tell that we have the GDP numbers that came out today. The market took that in pretty well, but I know the market is waiting on what Jerome Powell is going to say, so we're going to have to do the same. If you're new to this channel and if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe, and if you found a lot of value in the content, make sure you hit the like button. I'll be talking to you guys real soon.